Welcome to part 5 of my Canon rock tutorial. This week, continuing on from last time, we're doing the second half of the second verse and also the bridge. Let me play for you what we're learning. Alright, so this section is going to start off at the 7th fret of the G string with an 8th note, and this whole section is going to be 8th notes. So it's going to be 8th note there at the 7th fret of the G string, then a palm mute of the open D string, down to the 6th fret of the G string, back to the open palm muted D string, back up to 7 on the G, open palm muted on the D. Alright, now come down to the 4th fret of the D string. Now do 4th fret, 5th fret, 7th fret. Now shift your hand up a position and play the 9th fret of the D string. Then come back down to the 7th fret, 6th fret, 7th fret, 9th fret. That's all on the D string. Now finish the measure off at the 6th fret of the G string and slide down to the 2nd fret of the G string. So those two measures are going to sound like this. Now moving on, we're going up to the 3rd fret of the B string. Pull off to open B or pick it. Now 2nd fret of the B string to open. 3rd fret, open, 7th fret, open, 10th fret, and you're going to hold that note. It's going to be about a dotted quarter note. So that's, you're hitting it, finally landing on a dotted quarter note there at the 10th fret of the B string. Now continue on with 8th notes again. The 7th fret of the G string to the 9th fret of the G string, 7th fret of the B, 8, 10. And then I do that palm mute, start with palm muted and then kind of open it up. And you're going to come up here to the 12th fret of the B string and we're doing pull-offs again. 12 pull-off to open, 10 pull-off to open, 8 pull-off to open, 12 open, and then you're going to land on the 10th fret of the B string for a quarter note. And now from there, I'm going to do a really short little sweep pattern. You're going to go down to the 12th fret of the D string. Now downstroke that. Downstroke the 11th fret of the G string. And the 10th fret of the B string. And upstroke the 15th fret of the B string. So those are just quarter note, or just 8th note triplets and landing on a half note at that 15th fret of the B string. And so that one's not too bad. It's about the slowest sweep in the whole song. And then moving on, we got 16th notes into a real sweep pattern. And this is a pattern we haven't done yet. It's four notes down, 4 notes back up. So it's more of a perfect loop. And so that one works really well with a metronome. It's really easy to just set the beat on that one and get it faster and faster. And so what that is 10th fret of the E string, pull off to the 7th fret, upstroke on the 8th fret of the B, upstroke 7th fret of the G, upstroke 9th fret of the D. Now come back up, downstroke 7th fret of the G, downstroke 8th fret of the B, downstroke the 7th fret of the E string, upstroke the 10th fret of the E string, and that's where it loops. And if you pick your sweep picks with a downstroke on the bottom, or if you hammer on the top, whatever your normal way of sweep picking is, if you already know how to do it that way. But I'm encouraging anyone that is still learning or is maybe wants to learn it a different way. I'm just telling you the way that I personally do them. And so again, this is a sweep pattern that you could do in your everyday sweeping exercise. When you put it up to the metronome, you can do it in any shape. It's like a 16th note 4-string sweep. And so that's one position. You can also do it in the same position minor. Or and then they work in any position. And so you can do that anywhere, and you can practice any sweep pattern with that 4-string per note, 16th note. But for the purposes of this song, at this spot, it does it twice. And then when it gets back to the 7th fret, you're going to jump up to the 12th fret of the E string, and you're going to do a pattern we worked on last time. It's just coming down 4 notes of the arpeggio. And at this spot, we're doing 12, pull off to 9, upstroke at 10 on the B string, upstroke at 9 on the G string, and you do that twice. And you're going to slide down to the 2nd fret of the G string. So that whole section a little slower is going to sound like this. All right, so this next half of the verse is going to start out note for note for the first few measures of the previous time. So I'm just going to play it. I'm not going to go over it again. I'm just going to play you the part that's the same. And right when we get to that held note at the 10th fret of the B string is where it changes just a little bit. We're going to hit that. It's going to be held for a whole note. But at the same time we switched notes last time, after about a dotted quarter note, you're going to bend up a whole step to sound like the B at the 12th fret of the B string. Just for a quarter note, and you're going to bend back down for a half note at the 10th fret. You're going to release the bend, but you're not going to repick anything. And then from there, it moves on the same way it did before for a measure. You can do the 12, open, 10, open, 8, open, 12, open, 10. And you're going to land there for a quarter note, and then it changes again. And I'll play it slowly. It's a big 2-measure sweep picking pattern. This one is not much of a loopable, easy to loop pattern. It's something you can work up with a metronome. It works out perfectly in 16th notes, but it's gonna be this one's a little harder in my opinion. So. And so what that is, it's all 16th notes, starting the same way that the triplet did at the same spot the last time. The 12th fret of the D string, downstroke of the 11th fret of the G, downstroke 10th fret of the B, and the 10th fret of the E. Upstroke at the 14th fret of the E. Downstroke again the 17th fret of the E string. And then pull off to the 14th fret of the E string. And so right there, you're using your pinky to hit the 14th and the 17th fret, and it's effectively just switching your position up one. And so you're pulling off upstroke at the 15th fret of the B string, upstroke at the 14th fret of the G, downstroke at the 15th fret of the B string, downstroke at the 14th fret of the E string, upstroke at the 17th fret of the E string. And so that's going to finish out that little shape. And so it's kind of hard to do if you want to, instead of picking, if you don't want to pick those last notes that switch the position, you don't have to. I just think it makes it sound a lot more crisp. I just think it sounds more crisp. You don't have to do it. But if you think that sounds better, if you think the slide sounds a little cooler or sounds better, you don't have to do the pick if you don't want to. And then moving on, it's the exact same pattern we worked on last time at the exact same position. It's the so you're going to be here at the 19th fret of the E string with the downstroke, and you're going to pull off to the 15th fret of the E string, upstroke at the 15th fret of the B string, upstroke at the 16th fret of the G string. Now downstroke at 15 of the B, downstroke 15 of the E, upstroke at the 19 of the E, and pull off to 15. And that's your loopable pattern. We worked on that last time. And it's going to do it twice again, the same way. But this time, you're going to hit the 19th fret of the E string, bend it up a whole step to sound like the C sharp at the 21st fret of the E string. And you're going to do a few. I do like to do 3 of them. But it's kind of triplet feel, kind of out of time. Just kind of like a tasty, like re-picking the note. I can't really explain it too well, but it just kind of feels right to pick it, you know? And so that's gonna be the last measure. Bend it up. This second part, a little slower, is gonna sound like this. All right, so now we're on the chorus, and now I'm not going to go over it again because I went in pretty good detail a few videos ago when I did the chorus, but I will play through it slowly once, just, you know, refresh your memory a little bit. And now when you hit that last note, you're going to hold it out a bit longer than normal because it cuts down to half time. So, you know, the tempo cuts in half. But the chords stay 1 measure long. So it's not like the intro where the chords are the same length, but it's at like a halftime feel. This time the chords are happening for twice as long. And so we're at the bridge now. And so you hold that out for a whole note, but the whole note is twice as long. And so you'll feel that one. And then there'll be the strings will swell up. They'll do a couple notes up into where the bridge actually starts, where the chord progression really starts again. And so it's going to start down at the 7th fret of the G string for a whole note. Now you're going to go down for quarter notes. Go down to the D string. You can go 7, 9, 7. When you come back down to that 7 again, it's just going to be a 8th note. And you're going to hit 9, 7 as 16th notes. And you're going to come down to the 5th fret of the D string for another quarter note. And you're going to land at the 4th fret of the D string for a whole note. And now the same rhythm as the measure before. Quarter note up here at the 7th fret of the B string. and then quarter note up at the 8th fret of the B string. Back down for an 8th note, doing the same thing. Doing 2 16th notes at 8, 7. And so, and you're gonna land for another quarter note at the 9th fret of the G string. And this time we're gonna do more quarter notes. And so it's gonna be 7th fret, still on the G string, 6, 4, 6, 7, and you're gonna hold that last 7 for a whole note. And then you're gonna do that same, almost the same, like one measure once again. You can go 7, 6, 4. Now it's time 5, and then you're gonna do a whole note at the 6th fret. And so that section, I'm actually gonna do it at full speed because it's pretty slow. It's gonna sound like this. And so that finishes off the bridge, and that finishes off everything until the guitar solo, which we'll start next time. And now, oh man, that guitar solo is a doozy. And so yeah, I hope you learned something. Hope you're really getting the song down. And so stay tuned next week for a guitar cover. I'll be starting to do Will It Shreds more. And yeah, thanks for watching. See you later.